Hello there, everyone. This is Mr. Matthew here, and today we're going to talk about why I think Nobita Nobi from Doraemon is a great protagonist. I think he's a wonderful anime protagonist. I think he is great, and he works a lot for what the show is. For those of you who don't know, I've said that Doraemon will be one of the two main animes that I will be discussing in this channel and and by starting this off, I basically deleted the Doraemon witty streams because I just didn't find myself doing wanting to do them. So for now, I don't think there will be any streams. But anyway, I'm gonna make this video on why I think Nobita genuinely a great protagonist. I think he is honestly one of the best anime protagonists in my opinion. Like I don't know much about any of the other ones per se, but Nobita to me is honestly a great anime protagonist because first of all, he is the protagonist of the huge Japanese television series by the name of Doraemon. You know, it's like a huge anime. You know, children's anime. And I think Nobita for the main protagonist is genuinely great. Like, first of all, Nobita is the main character. He lives in a traditional household with a family, with a pretty traditional family. He's like this kid who basically doesn't. He's like this kid who basically he doesn't like to work. You know, he doesn't like to study and whatnot. He gets zeros on his exams. He has like a very bad life. He gets bullied a lot in school by Sunio and Jayan, and he's hopeless against his childhood crush that is Shizuta. So what I'm going to say, so basically, his future is very hopeless. He was destined to marry Giant's sister Jaiko, and have a horrible life with her. And so comes in his future descendant Sewashi, with the new robotic cat by the name of Doraemon to guide him through that terrible life that he is going to be destined with. Nobita is there to help no, not Nobita. Doraemon is there to help Nobita succeed through life and become a better person. So first of all, I really think that Nobita embodies the nature flaws that most kids have. Is that a lot of kids don't really like to work. You know, they don't like to study. They don't like to engage in much. They want to make fun activities. And another thing that just Nobita sets out so much relatability. You know, he's like basically he just feels like basically an Asian kid who is forced to live up with very strict parents who are very strict about their exams, about their studies and whatnot, about their studies and whatnot, and and uh, and basically Nobita doesn't really like have much passion. He wants to pursue the best life, but he doesn't want to do it the hard way, so Doraemon is there to guide Nobita in his future. He wants to guide him to have a better life, to foresee a better upcoming of him, and that's why I legitimately think that's why the premise of the series works is that Nobita is genuinely like portrayed as basically the kid who is hopeless, who cannot really like stand up for himself a lot, but Doraemon is there to really guide him and push him forward, and that's a great thing. And I like that Nobita does seem to mature throughout the series. Now it's not per stories. Like some stories you'll have the no Nobita maturing, and others he'll basically just come back to how he is as he started. But I also think that Nobita works well as a protagonist because he's just like so like relatable. Like children really do feel. There's plenty of kids who really do feel for him. Plenty of kids who just aren't passionate about doing their homework. They aren't passionate about doing the stuff their parents told them to do. So Nobita is there basically to relate to that, and they can imagine themselves having like the Doraemon is basically somewhat he's like the replica of what you consider an imaginary friend, someone who is there to help you. Some kids basically experience the whole imaginary friend syndrome. Now Doraemon is basically in universe he is a real robotic cat, but as an allegory he is sort of like a like an imaginary friend, like an imaginary friend that you draw out of, when you become old. And I also think that Doraemon is a really fun character. I think he is a great balance. He balances off Nobita quite well. They have a lot of solid interactions, and the series is just very light-hearted. It's very innocent. It's very cheerful, and I really love it for that. And Nobita really does progress. He sometimes becomes a better person. Sometimes he likes to take an easy way out, but Doraemon is there to guide him that he has to work a bit harder to achieve that goal. Um, Nobita Nobita succeeds, sometimes actually befriends Sunio and Giant are they're like sometimes bullies, sometimes friends, they it kind of depends on which Doraemon story you're watching. But for the most part, I think they're friends, considering in the movies they do help each other more often in the movies, especially. Another thing is that especially in movies and stories like this, when Nobita is faced, when of saving the earth, of saving people and whatnot, Nobita is always there to step up. He's always there to save people. He's always there to stop the villains who are attacking others. Nobita is also a very heroic person. He may be lazy, but he's still pretty heroic, and I think that's why. Um, I legitimately do consider that Nobita is a great protagonist. He works very well for the show. He balances off with his friends and I think it's a very cool show that provides Nobita basically a lot of great um, development about how he can mature and become better in the future. And Doraemon is the key to do that, to access that better future. So yeah, so that's why I think Nobita he really balances of the show, and he's really a core part of genuinely. Nobita is like a core part of just what makes Doraemon Doraemon. So yeah, that's what I'll say. So yeah, thank you all for watching and have a peaceful day, everyone. Expect more Doraemon content in the future.